Alrighty, hey you guys, I want you to know that you can teach your kids to read in 5 simple steps. You can do it, it's easy, I want to show you how. It just requires consistency and a little work on your part that the payoff is worth it. Did you know that over 65% of fourth graders in the United States are not reading at a proficient level? That is a heartbreaking statistic, and I don't want any of our kids to be a part of that statistic. So let's work to change that together. One of the biggest things holding me back from homeschooling, or that made me nervous about homeschooling in the beginning, was that I didn't even know if I could teach my kids to read. I was like, I don't know if this is possible. And can I tell you now, I'm teaching my 5th kid. I have 5 kiddos in school now, and he is learning how to read now. And we've done it successfully, and we've received great advice along the way. And so I just want to pass all that along to you to help equip you to be able to teach your kids to read. And can I tell you, this is one method. It's worked for us, but I know that there are a plethora of ways that you can teach your kids to read and have success. I just want to tell you what has worked for us. We love it. I'm going to continue to use it for all the kids that come through our school here. And so here are my 5 tips for helping you, equip you really to teach your kids how to read. You need to be excited about reading. Our kids are going to mimic how we feel about reading, about doing anything. And so if you're excited to read, if you are reading books, they are going to want to be excited to read. They're going to be excited to go to the library with you, to do all these things. If they know that mom or dad really enjoys reading, then they're going to want to do what mom or dad enjoys doing. If you hate reading and you make that very obvious, then your kids are not going to like reading. So be aware of the example you're setting, kind of like the attitude, the vibe that you give off about your love for or abhorration of reading, because it matters. Okay, so then let's jump into, these are the 5 tips. Here they are. We need to be reading to our kids daily. If they don't already know the alphabet, we need to jump in by teaching them the alphabet, okay? And just how to recognize letters. That's what I really mean. Then 3, we need a good set of phonics cards, because I believe that they need to learn all phonetically what every letter, the sounds that every letter makes in order to build words. And then 4, I have an incredible curriculum that I would recommend. It was $90, and for our big homeschooling family, all of my kids, we have 5 kids now that are reading, and they've all come through this curriculum. I highly respect it. It works. I like it. We will continue to use it. And then again, it's $90, and it will take you all the way through. If you desire to continue to do spelling all the way through even 12th grade, you can do it with this program. And then finally, you need a set of like Fun Tales books or Bob books, any kind of like early readers to let your kids jump in when they're beginning to get a grasp on the phonics cards. Man, you need to quickly introduce these little books and let them start sounding out the letters with you. I'm going to go through each one of these steps in a little bit of greater detail. So here we go. Let's jump into number 1. We need to be reading to them daily from 0, okay? From the minute they exit out of the womb, they are developing language skills, okay? They're listening to you speak, they're hearing conversations going on. And so, as early as we can, let's begin reading to our kids and enjoying doing that every day. And then especially as they get to be 2 and 3, 1, 2, and 3, to be able to cultivate within them a love for learning, to spend time with mom or dad sitting in their laps, reading. I can't get over it in our homeschool now, how I will start reading a simple book, you guys, like this, A Big Ball of String, with Isaac and Evie and Jay, our 3 youngest, well, aside from the foster baby. And then all of a sudden, Ty, my 10-year-old, will come meander, he'll hear the story going on, and then Brenly may come, she's 11, may come hover around the story too. All of a sudden, it's like all my kids, even my older kids, are sitting around me as we get to read these simple books. So even if your kids are older, it's amazing too how a good book read by a mom or dad, or a grandparent, cultivates this desire to be cozy and to read. So do that. Read to your kids daily. I tell my kids all the time, I will say, hey, I may be working with a big kid. I may yell to my littles, hey, y'all go pick out 3 books. And y'all, any kind of like cute little readers. So we have a ton of little readers. The Little Engine That Could, Peanut Butter and Cupcake, Click Clack Moo, just fun little readers with great vivid pictures. I tell my kids to go pick out a book. In fact, they get to pick 3, and then I will sit with them, and we may go sit on the front porch. We kind of vary where we go every day, and we may get a snack because I want it to be fun. I want this not to feel laborious to them. I want this to be a sweet time where we get to spend time together and read. So we may go to the front porch, back porch. We may go in the summertime. We sometimes go to the hammocks. We will just go to somewhere and have fun, have a snack, and get to read and cuddle and read some books together. Okay, so number 2, if your kids are little, they still need to learn the alphabet. And so I just happened to go to Target, like probably a couple of years ago actually, and get some flashcards that have all of the letters, the capital letters and the lowercase letters. And then on the back side, you guys, they just have like characters, Mickey Mouse, Mickey Mouse pictures that start with those letters. So for example, the D card is for Daisy. So we'll say, I'll say, can you recognize this letter? And they will say, yes, it's a D. And then now, because I've been using the phonics card so long, I can tell them, or we talk about what phonetically, what those sounds make. But if you're just getting started in reading, you may not know phonetically what all the phonetic sounds that every letter can make. You might not. You'd be surprised. There are lots of them that you might not naturally attribute a phonetic sound to a letter, but you'll realize as you use English, you do it all the time. And so I got flashcards. You can do this any way you want to. However you want your kids to get to recognize the alphabet, but to get to wield it and do it well. And then our goal is to make sure that our kids know the alphabet well. They have to before they can really learn move to phonics cards. Okay, but 3, phonics cards. You guys, these phonics cards to me are like gold. I've used them for every kid. I like them so much. And so, there are 70 phonograms in the way that the Wise Guide for Spelling and the Spell to Write to Read books work. They have broken down the English language into 70 phonograms. That means every word in the English language can be built with these 70 phonograms. So if we teach the sounds that every letter makes to our children, then they can build any word. So here we go. So for this like A says a, ah. And so I'd literally just show them the letter and I say a, ah. And they repeat it back to me, a, ah. Then I may say k or s, because a C can say k or s. And then sometimes I will tell them, for example, so there are all these phonograms cards, but they work in tandem with, we also have spelling rule cards that, for example, one of them says, C says s before E, I, or Y. And so that's why, though, C here can say k or s. And can I tell you, on the back of these cards, it tells you what to say, Mama, because you may not know what C says, or you may not remember that C says s until you do this a bazillion times with your kids. Then you totally will have it all memorized. But on the back, it tells you as the instructor what to say and what the student should repeat. And then it gives you example keywords, and then a rule that may apply so that you can build your teaching as you want to. But at first, the goal would be for you to show all the phonograms cards, and really you don't introduce them all at once. This program recommends that you do like 10 or 15 a day, and that you just would go through those, and then the next day go through, review the ones you've already done, and then add on 10 more, so that very quickly you are introducing them, because the best way that your kids learn these phonograms cards, these letters and their sounds, is by doing them a million times. And so I highly recommend at the beginning getting your phonograms cards. Once your kids know their alphabet, doing the phonics cards 2 or 3 times a week, just to get used to the repetition and to be able to begin to recognize letters and the sounds they make. Because the sooner that they can get these phonics cards down and understand phonetically the sounds that every letter makes, then they can jump into fun little books like Fun Tales. Okay, and then that's what I wanted to tell you guys. So I'm going to this is going to be a super quick curriculum plug, just because I love it and I would love for it to bless y'all. But the Spell to Write and Read program, this has been incredible to me. I have a sweet friend who is a speech pathologist who recommended this to me because, and this is very generic, but basically this program teaches kids how to build words. This program does not use sight words. We do not we learn to build words phonetically. So we learn all the phonograms, and then you literally begin to tell your kids, they begin to build words. Once they've gotten a little bit comfortable with these phonograms, then can I tell you what I love? We have a million of these boards. We use them all the time in my homeschool. And I, at first, because they think it's so fun to write with an expo marker, right? So in this, the Wise Guide for Spelling, they begin with super simple words, like the most commonly used words in the English language. And you just begin with your little, like for me, I have Isaac, my little 5-year-old. I can tell him, and this program teaches you really as the instructor to use your right hand and to say, for example, when I give him the word top and I want him to build it, I will say something like this: t-op, top, t-op, top. And then what he does, I don't spell it for him, ideally. Here and there I have to help him out. But when he sees my t finger, he should write a T. When he sees my ah, and a lot of times I'll do this, ah, then should put in a t, ah, and then I'll say, so t, ah, p. And then ideally he will hear the p sound, and then he will write a P, and then he'll say top, mom, top. And so I love these boards. And can I tell you, just pro tip, magic erasers are awesome to wipe these boards off. And we use them for everything. But so I would get your little ones learning the alphabet, learning phonics cards. And then slowly as you introduce phonics cards, I also like to introduce the spelling rules. This program also comes with a great set of cards where you could just introduce one a week. It's super simple. And for example, let me just give you an example card. This one has a Q and a U together, and the Q on the top is when it's by itself, it's marked off, because the rule is that Q always needs a U. And again, the rule's written on the back for the parent to instruct their kids. But this is a simple rule. This is rule number 1. And so you could go through one rule a week with your kids. Q always needs a U, and that helps them for spelling. They know that Q should never stand alone, that it should always have a U. And so there are spelling rule cards that you can introduce slowly but surely, just one a week, so that it's not laborious. There's not too much hitting your kids all at once or hitting you at one time. And then you just begin to teach them how to spell by using the words that they give you in the Wise Guide for Spelling. And then sometimes, like my little 5-year-old, we may aim to cover 5 words a day. Sometimes that's what he's got in him. Other times he can stretch longer, and we could aim to do 10 words. And then they have cool spelling enrichments in here if you want to add to that, if you want to play games, if you want to do all kinds of cool things. And I've gone through seasons where I've done those things, and I've had seasons where we don't do those things just because we don't have the time or the bandwidth for it. And can I tell you, I find that either way it works. What matters the most is that you're consistent in working with your kids to learn to read and write every day for 20 minutes at least. Okay, then the last thing, I love these fun tales. These are my favorite, and these actually I ordered them from Sunlight, a Sunlight curriculum, lots of years ago. But I know they still have them. And then Bob Books, I like them too. They're not my favorite, but I like them too. And they're great to begin. And then my sister was cleaning out her classroom one year, and so she gave me all these cool decodable books that are very simple too. And then one of our Sunlight curriculums gave us, the I Can Read books. Any of these books are great. Okay, really, you just need a simple book. Even like great Dr. Seuss books, even this, you guys. My little ones like to read. We may pick one book out of this because this has 6. But they can begin to read, and they're fun, and they learn, I don't know, just all kinds of cool things from these books. So, and then just beginning to get confidence reading. That's the goal. But the Fun Tales books literally have, like 1 or 2 words. They literally have like 1 or 2 words on each page, and then they work on a phonetic sound. So like this one, this is entitled Tap, and it will work on the short A, tap, that ah sound. And so, the first little word, there's just like one little picture with one little word, you guys, pat. And so then and the goal with these fun tales is they start out very, very simple. And like, for example, with the word pat, or here with the word tap, I might say to my son, what does the T say? And he'll say t. And then I'll say, what does the A say? And then between you and I, he knows A can say a, ah, or ah. And sometimes we have to play around and try it. But oftentimes, they want to say a or a. And so here it's a. And I would just tell him to try the sounds until we can figure out what the word is. But so we would say, what does a T say? He'd say t. What does an A say? And then I might help him out. I might just say, if he gives me an A sound, then I'll say, yes, this one is a, t, a. What does a P say? P. And then I'll say, okay, let's do it together. T, app, t, app. And if I do that a couple of times, usually he can say, tap, mama, tap. And then that's it, you guys. And then we just keep going. We would aim to read the book together. And aim to have fun doing this with your kids. That's the goal. Let them know that reading is fun. Have fun with them. And if they're in tears, it's time to stop. If they're in tears, scrap it for the day and come back the next day, because they're not learning anything anymore if they're crying. Okay, so my aim, if I was a new mom teaching my kids to read, and I'm still teaching my kids to read. Let's be real. I have been homeschooling lots of years, 9 years, and I'm still teaching a new kid to read because every 2 years I teach another kid to read. So, and then we work on it. We work on it until they're flying and enjoying chapter books. And so the goal is that you guys would read together with your kids, that you would allow them to pick their favorite books. So this would be fun for them. Tell them to go get their favorite snack when y'all sit together, and then ask them, where would you want to read? Do you want to read outside on the swing? Do you want to read on the front porch? Do you want to read in your bed? Do you want to get cozy in my bed? Let's just go and have fun together. And then ideally you'd work on reading 3 or 4 days a week for 20 to 30 minutes, like this whole process. I would pick, typically, let me tell you what we did today. My kids read to me, I read to them, and then we went through some of the spelling words. They did the spelling words with the board. I also, here and there, get them to write their spelling words as they're getting older into a notebook, just so that they can work on writing neatly, writing on the lines, just to work on manuscript, to work on handwriting for my little ones. And so, but I think that's it. And then I wanted to tell y'all, bringing books along with bigger kids, because we are a big homeschooling family. So oftentimes when my big girls go to debate, or my big guy, when they go to debate, or when they have basketball practice, I sometimes will grab a handful of books and put them in the back of my car so that I can sit with littles and read with them while we're waiting for practice to get over, or while we're waiting for debate to end, because that's an easy way to fit schooling in and fun little things in. This reading with your kids, I just can't stress it enough in terms of it helps them to build their vocabulary. You reading with them helps to build their confidence. Oh, it's just so good. So the more that you can do this with them, do it. So again, let's recap. Here's the goals, the 5 goals. Read to your kids daily. Make sure they learn the alphabet first before you jump into any of the phonics cards or spelling rules. Obviously, they need to learn the alphabet. Then jump into phonics cards. Again, there's 70 phonics cards. The goal would be to introduce them kind of quickly. The goal is that you're quickly introducing them, but with the goal that every day you're reviewing them 3 or 4 times a week. You'll be surprised how quick your kids will pick up all these phonics sounds, and you will too. And then I highly recommend the Spell to Write to Read curriculum. It just teaches you as a parent how to, a simple way. Now we have simplified the way we use Spell to Write to Read and the Wise Guide for spelling. And I may do another video on that to tell you exactly, because they give you a lot of direction, and I like things simple. And so we've made it simple, and it really works for us simple. So I like it. I like it that you can use it for multiple kids all the way through 12th grade if you want to, just to continue to integrate spelling. I know that in public school systems, they get rid of spelling kind of early, like 5th grade-ish, or maybe before. But I believe that spelling is so important that we try to integrate it all the way throughout. We're working on spelling and vocab even as we write elevated papers into we have an 8th grader now and a 6th grader and a 5th grader, as we're still working on all those things, because I just find that they haven't mastered spelling. So I want to continue to help them cultivate good spelling habits. Okay, and then number 5, aim to jump into some type of little reader for them, whether it's the Fun Tales books or the Bob books, or cute little books that you can pick up probably from Goodwill or a used secondhand thrift store. Just something that little beginning books that they can use to read to begin to gain confidence. And between you and I, some days I feel like they can read a page or 2 and that's all they've got in them. Other days, like today, we went through a Dr. Seuss book with Evie, Green Eggs and Ham, and she went through to page 29, and I'm so proud of her. So I just be a champion for your kids. Help to increase their self-confidence. Read with them, enjoy reading with them, and then Aim to do these 5 things and you will watch as your kids begin to fly and cultivate a love for reading. You're going to be blessed. And parents, the moment you see your child read their first book is going to be incredibly rewarding, both for you and for your child, as you see them begin to build confidence in their own ability to read. Finally, I just want to remind y'all that every kid moves at their own pace. So you may have, I had some kids that were reading at 5. Really maybe at the very end of 4. And part of it was because they were some of my earliest kids where I did not have 7 children, and I'm not trying to homeschool 5 of them, where now our time is divided differently, right? But I had some kids learning at 5, some kids learning at 6, and other kids learning at 7. And they're all, can I tell you though, they're all of my big kids are all actively enjoying chapter books now. They actively read on their own. I feel like they do enjoy and have a love for reading, even though where their reading journey began was different for each one of them. For my son, we actually tried multiple times to begin the Wise Guide for Spelling and to begin to teach him the words and the sounds. But somehow I could tell at 5 and 6, it wasn't clicking. Nothing was sticking at that time. But we stayed with it, and I backed off for a little while, and we just went through phonics cards 2 or 3 times a week. And then 6 months later, kind of like jumped back into trying a little bit harder to see if some of this could stick. And y'all, he flew. He was just ready. He wasn't ready before then. So I just want to encourage you that if you're trying all the things and you feel like your child is just nothing sticking, sometimes that's just how it is. And you just have to be patient. So be patient, be their champion. And I just pray that you enjoy some good time and some good books with your kids.